Good day, everybody. Paul Romero here with the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Trading number 154 on July 1st, 2015. This is this is Wednesday, actually. This is the middle of the day. This is our personal preparation day. This is the day that during the week we take this day to get our life in order, because we do most of our work on, the end of the week, at the weekend. What the heck am I saying? Holy cow. See, that's how we were talking the other day about training your mind to, think in a different way. And look what I just did. I went through that whole section right there, throwing out the wrong words, because just it flows. It's something that takes a while to get over. So anyway, we finish our session off with the powerful taking action days being Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sometimes even a little bit on Sunday, although we try to keep Sunday for ourselves as well too. But today, what we do in the beginning of our session, we start off with preparation of the business. Everything that, get everything in order from last week, set everything up get everything in order from last session, set everything up for this session. Tuesday, we take to create all of the things that we're going to need to have in place in order to do that for the remainder of the session. So Tuesday, first new op day is rewind. New op day is organization day. Tuesday is creation day. Wednesday is preparation day. And Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are action day. And then Sunday is celebration day, because when you are prepared and you've created what you need and you've gotten yourself ready and you've gone out there and took action, you're going to have a reason to celebrate. That's just how it goes. You can't help it. Can't help it having that happen. So welcome to preparation day, although mine got started off not the way it was planned, and which leads me to sort of the little bit of discussion that I'm going to have today about communication and assuming. Two things that can cause you massive problems in your business. All right. First of all, they go hand in hand a little bit, because it's through the communication that the assumptions are made. And when the more communication breaks down, the more assumptions get made. And that's where we run into a lot of problems. I mean, and this goes all the way from top to bottom. I mean, all the way from, assuming that, and it's real easy to do, especially when you're getting started in this business, to sort of assume that, hey, I got this contract, I got it in title, to sort of assume that everything's going to be fine, right? To sort of assume that title's going to take care of everything, and sort of assume that my payday is coming. If you're doing short sales, it's sort of easy to, once you've got your package submitted into the bank, it's sort of easy to assume that, you're going to get what you want at the end of the day. They're going to come back. Maybe you have to counter, and you end up getting a deal. Making assumptions get you in trouble, because when you make an assumption, you stop focusing on what's going on. When you make an assumption, you are classifying it as complete, finished, done. Don't have to worry about it anymore. And that's the problem, because there's always something popping up in this business. Always. When you think it's done, boom, it ain't done. Something's got to get done in order for it to get done. So don't ever make assumptions that, things are happening. And like I said, this goes all the way from, being in title and assuming that the title company is taking care of everything. Speaking with a seller and assuming that they're going to call you back and sign this contract. working on a project house and assuming, your guys are going to be there at a certain time and get the job done. Every phase of this cannot make any assumptions of. Now, there's a level of trust that, of course, you have to have with the title company, with your guys, with your sellers, but especially with your sellers, you really got to rein that level of trust back in. You really can't trust your sellers at all. You have to stay on them 100% with no assumptions whatsoever. Don't ever assume anything with your sellers. So with the communication now, this is, like I say, where the assumptions come into play. Because even with, I'll go back to the title company, and I'm not bashing title companies here, trust me. This is just how it is, okay? I'm just putting it out there. So don't be, if you happen to be a title agent or work with a title company, or you got a great title company or whatever, I'm not bashing title companies here at all. I'm just saying that this is how it goes. Title companies, when they're doing their research, they find stuff. And sometimes it's stuff that needs to have something fixed. And so, these things sometimes have a lack, sometimes have a tendency to be miscommunicated, or sometimes not even communicated. We just recently had a title company that we were working with that had an issue with the title for an old deed of trust, and this title company, sort of starting out telling us, hey, we have a problem with this. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, yada, 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 yada. But they failed to tell us that it was right there issued with the people involved. It was a family thing. And that all we had to do was come up with it. And now we're down to, and then we get down to the nitty gritty of the closing of this property. And we had we could have been working on this for the past 2 weeks, and we had no idea about it. And now we've only got a week to go, and now we got to scramble around trying to put things together. So taking the blame ourselves, our fault, everything is your own fault. Everything is your fault. So, I'm not blaming the title company for this, although I do feel that their inability to share a fact with us, a very pertinent fact with us, was something that could have been done better. So, but our fault to not maybe lay everything out clearly up front, say, this is what's going on, this is what we have found, this is where we might have a problem, and if there's anything you can tell us that we can help you with, maybe we didn't express that clearly enough to, get it to the point where that piece of information wasn't relayed back to us. And so, assumption, the communication, like I said, it starts with you. That's where you've got to initiate the communication, and you need to be clear with your communication so that we have understanding. And you need to be clear that the person that you're communicating to is clear before, you don't ever want to assume that they're understanding you. You want to make sure that they are clear with what you're communicating. So communication and assumptions, like I said, in this business, will put the hammer to your toes when you are right in the middle of, sitting barefoot on the beach, because these things happen. Now, if you've got somebody on your team who can handle these things for you, well, then they get the hammer pounded on their toes, and you can continue to keep yours in the sand. but you get what I'm going here. And like I said, the same thing goes with like, your project or something, your workers. You can't assume that they're going to be there on time, or that they know what the job is, or that or even like an issue that we had here, with your partners. Even with your partners, you can't assume that your partner is understanding what you're saying, because we had a miscommunication where one of our partners went out of town on vacation, and I was supposed to take care of the guys who were day laborers, get paid cash at the end of the day type of thing. And I thought they were going to be finishing the job on this day that I was instructed to, go pay them. They need to be paid at the end of the day. Hey, no problem, right? Well, I wasn't informed that they only work 8 hours. They quit at 2 o'clock. That would have been a helpful piece of information for me to know, so that I wasn't across town in the middle of taking care of something else when I get the phone call going, hey, my guys are waiting on you. Where are you at with their money? They've been sitting there for almost an hour now. It's like, when we spoke last, I thought we had communicated that I was going to contact them in the evening at their home to give them their money. So my bad. I didn't make sure that that was clear, that that was my intention, but also my partner's bad in not communicating the fact that they only work 8 hours and they're done at 2 o'clock, and that's when they expect to get paid. So a lack of communication there took me from in the middle of something all the way across town to having to drop everything to run and get this taken care of. And it carried over to this morning as well too, with another lack of information, another missing piece of information. So clearly organizing your information is where it all starts. I mean, you got to have highly organized information. That's where it all starts. So the more you can organize your information, the more clearly you're going to be able to instruct that information, give that information out, and make sure that those that you are giving it to are understanding it properly, so that that bit of communication does not have any assumptions of understanding in there, and so that everybody is clear and on the same page, and that things are actually happening the way that you envision them happening. Because your vision, when it travels in from out of your mind into this mind over here, it gets a little bit distorted. And then when it travels out of this mind and it goes over into this mind over here, it gets a little bit distorted. And by the time that this vision comes out of the end mind over here, and here's the vision right here, well, guess what? I saw this and you gave me this. Things change. You guys ever remember playing that little game in school where you get 5 or 6 kids in a circle, and somebody will tell you a little story? It could be a very short little 2-minute story, and they'll tell it to the first kid, and the first kid will tell it to the second kid, and the second kid will tell it to the third kid, and to the fourth kid, and to the fifth kid, and then the fifth kid will tell the story out loud, and it's nothing like the first story, like the original story. That's kind of how it works. That's how lack of communication or miscommunication and assumption works. It will take your story and it'll turn it into something completely different by the time it comes out the other end. So I just really want to express how important, communication skills in this business are, and not making assumptions either on your own part of what you understand, or assuming on the other part that the other party understands. Got to be very, 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 very clear in giving out direction and instruction in this business. And then when it comes to sellers, this is where you absolutely cannot make any assumptions whatsoever. You cannot assume your seller is thinking that they're going to be selling to you. You cannot assume that your seller will call you back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. You cannot assume anything, about your seller. You have to be very, very clear with them when you are giving instruction, because part of the way that you're negotiating is that you are actually giving them instruction. You are actually telling them what they need to do and when they need to do it. And so one of the things that you need to make sure that you take care of on your end is to make sure that you stay in control of the communication flow. Make sure that you have their phone number, that the time is scheduled for you to call them, not for them to call you. Make sure that you are supposed to be the one who is meeting them at the house or whatever at a certain time, that you have set that up. So you got to be very, very, very clear when it comes to sellers. This is where you don't want to be making any assumptions whatsoever, because as soon as you make an assumption on a seller, guess what? That deal's gone and someone else is getting it. It happens all the time. So that's our message for today, guys, is organization. The more organized you can be with your information, the more clearly you can deliver instruction, and the more clearly you can deliver instruction, the less chance there is for assumption, and what your vision is will ultimately end up to be your vision. So work on your organization, work on organizing your information, and having things, laid out properly. That's really what it all comes down to. So with that, everybody, I'm out of here for today. We'll see you back here on Freedom Friday. And I want to end with the Napoleon Hill prayer, which goes, "O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire," which is, in this case, a desire for clear communication and lack of assumption. All right, everybody.